Welcome to another deep dive with us. This time, we're going to be exploring something pretty powerful, the power of words, specifically blessings, curses, and condemnation. We're going deep on a podcast episode called The Power of Your Words, Blessings, Curses, and Condemnation Unveiled. And it's really got me thinking about the words I use every single day. It's like we think words are just sounds we make, but really, they have a very real impact on our lives and on everyone around us, too.
And the thing is, this idea that our words have weight, it isn't new at all. It's been around for centuries and centuries across cultures and religions. Think about it. Ancient spells,
Uh-huh.
incantations, prayers, they all come from this belief that what we say can actually shape reality.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's true. So it's not just some new age idea. This goes way back.
Exactly. It really speaks to like this very basic human intuition, that there's something powerful about what we say.
Okay, so let's start with blessings then. I was surprised to learn that the word bless actually means to speak well of. Like you're just invoking something positive by saying it out loud.
Yeah, you're totally calling forth goodness. And from a biblical perspective, a blessing is more than just wishing someone well. It's a sign of God's favor, grace, or protection.
Like in that verse from Jeremiah, blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and whose hope is the Lord. So it's more about aligning yourself with like a higher power and being open to blessings coming into your life.
Yes, and think of it like this. It's less like you're saying some magic spell,
Hmm.
and more like you're opening a door. You're opening yourself up to positive possibilities. By trusting in God, you're positioning yourself to receive those blessings.
So it's not just about hoping for good things, it's about that act of trust that allows you to be open to them.
Yes, that's a really great way to put it. And there's another piece of this that's pretty fascinating. The idea of blessing people who curse you.
Whoa, yeah, that's definitely a radical idea. It's easy to say, but so much harder to actually do.
Yeah. It is tough, for sure, especially when someone is treating you poorly. But in Luke it says, "Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you." It's really about choosing to respond with love and grace, even when it's hard.
Yeah, wow. So, can you give an example of how that might look in everyday life? Like, it's easy to just say those words, but harder to imagine how it actually works in real life.
Definitely. Let's say you have a coworker who's always criticizing you and your work. Your first instinct might be to get defensive, right? Or even criticize them back. But what if instead you made an effort to actually speak well of that person, to acknowledge maybe some of their strengths, or offer them help when they seem like they're struggling?
So instead of like mirroring their negativity, you're actively trying to shift the dynamic by offering a blessing.
Exactly. It might not change their behavior overnight,
Hmm.
but it could be like planting a seed of something positive. You're not saying what they're doing is okay, but you're choosing to respond in a way that elevates the whole situation, instead of just escalating the conflict.
Wow, that's a really powerful way to think about it. It makes you realize how often we just react defensively instead of choosing to respond with a blessing.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
But the idea is that a blessing carries a certain spiritual weight that can actually like counteract the negativity, like you're meeting darkness with light.
Okay, so that's blessings. Let's talk about the opposite now, curses. I think most of us know what it means to curse someone out, but what's the deeper meaning there?
At the heart of it, cursing someone is like wishing them harm or speaking evil over them. And spiritually, it's thought that curses can actually unleash negative forces, like you're creating obstacles for that person or even misfortune in their life.
So like that story in the Bible, when Jesus cursed a fig tree and it withered up and died, that's a pretty vivid example of how words can have destructive power.
Absolutely. And while most of us aren't going around cursing fig trees, we have to think about those times when we're really angry or resentful. What we say in those moments, even if we don't mean it as a literal curse, can carry a lot of negative energy with it.
Yeah, like even those little curses we say without thinking, like, damn it, when you stub your toe. Do those really have any power?
They might not summon a bolt of lightning, but the idea is that words have energy, no matter what your intention is. It's like that saying from Matthew, it's not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of it. So even those little offhand curses we say, they can still contribute to a negative atmosphere.
And that negativity can come back to us.
That's the idea behind the boomerang effect. Think about it. If you're always putting negativity out there, you're probably going to experience more negativity in return.
So it's not just in our relationships with other people, but also in the way we talk to ourselves.
Exactly. Negative self-talk is like cursing yourself. If you're always telling yourself you're a failure or you're not good enough, you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Those words can really chip away at your confidence and even sabotage your efforts.
It's like setting yourself up for failure before you even start.
It is. And it's a really powerful reminder that our words, both to others and to ourselves, have real consequences.
So curses are connected to that idea of reaping what you sow. If you plant negativity, you're going to harvest negativity in return.
Yes, that's the principle outlined in Deuteronomy, where it talks about curses being a result of disobedience to God, like a cause and effect relationship.
So aligning yourself with God's will is a way to avoid curses.
That's one way to look at it. And there's another verse in Jeremiah that adds to this. It says, "Cursed is the man who trusts in man and makes flesh his strength, whose heart departs from the Lord."
So it's not just about disobedience to God, but putting your faith in other people can lead to curses too. It's like putting all your eggs in a basket that might have holes in it.
Yes. It's about recognizing that humans are imperfect and ultimately unreliable. True security and blessing, according to Jeremiah, come from placing your trust in something higher than ourselves.
So trusting in other people isn't bad in itself, but it's important to remember that they can let us down.
Exactly. It's not about being cynical or distrustful,
Mm-hmm.
but just understanding that as humans, we all make mistakes and we can disappoint each other. And sometimes we even betray each other's trust.
So the takeaway is to be wise in who and what you place your faith in.
Yeah, I think that's a great summary. Discernment is key.
Okay, so we've covered blessings and curses. Now let's get into this concept of condemnation. How is that different from just criticizing someone?
Condemnation is it goes beyond just criticizing. It's more like you're making a spiritual judgment against someone with potential consequences for different areas of their life.
Almost like you're sealing their fate, closing the door on any chance for them to change or be redeemed.
That's a really powerful way to picture it. It emphasizes how weighty condemnation really is. It's not something to take lightly.
So when we condemn someone, we're not just saying we disapprove of them, we're actually invoking a spiritual consequence.
That's the idea. It's important to understand that words have the power to bind and to loose. And condemnation is like binding someone with a negative verdict.
So it's not just the words themselves, but the spiritual intention behind them.
Exactly. It's recognizing that language has both a physical and a metaphysical side, and condemnation operates on that deeper level.
Wow, this is fascinating, but also kind of unsettling. If we have this much power in our words, shouldn't we be super careful about how we use them?
Absolutely. And that brings up a really important question. How do we use this power for good instead of for harm? If our words can bless, curse, and condemn, how do we make sure we're using them to create positive change in our own lives and in the world around us?
Okay, yeah, that's what I want to dive into next, because honestly, after learning all this, I'm kind of nervous about every word that comes out of my mouth.
I get it. But knowledge is power, right? By understanding how much impact our words can have, we can learn to use them more intentionally and more consciously too.
So instead of being afraid of this power, we should learn how to wield it wisely.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to explore in the next part of this deep dive. We'll look at some practical ways to tap into that positive power of words, using things like scripture affirmations and other techniques.
Okay, I'm excited for that, because this has really been eye-opening. I'm realizing I've probably been using words without even thinking about the impact they have.
That's really common. But the good news is, once you become aware of this power, you can start making different choices.
So instead of just letting words fly out of my mouth, I can be more intentional about what I say.
That's the key. Every word we say has the potential to create or to destroy. And by choosing our words carefully, we can start to tip the scales toward creation and positivity.
Okay, I'm ready for that challenge. And for everyone listening, we'll pick up right here in the next part of our deep dive. Okay, so we've explored this idea that words have power. They can bless, they can curse, and even condemn. It's a lot to process. But now I'm wondering about, okay, so how do we actually use this power for good?
Yeah, so that's where we kind of shift gears. From defense to offense, it's not just about avoiding negative words, but actively using words to cultivate positivity and really create the outcomes we want in our lives.
I love that analogy. Like, we're not just trying to deflect bad words. We're actually picking up a sword and fighting back with good.
Exactly. And one of the most powerful tools we have is Scripture. The Bible is full of verses that can be used as affirmations, declarations, prayers.
So instead of just reading those verses passively, we can actually speak them out loud, like we're claiming their power for ourselves.
Yes, exactly. And you don't have to be a Bible scholar to do this. It's about connecting with the words that resonate with you and speaking them with faith and conviction.
So it's like making the scripture personal, making it relevant to your own life and your own challenges.
Absolutely. And you don't even have to use the exact words. You can paraphrase, put it in your own language.
Yeah.
The key is to engage with those words in a way that feels real and powerful to you.
So where would you suggest someone start if they're new to using scripture this way?
One really simple but powerful practice is starting your day with affirmations based on Scripture. Just choose a verse that speaks to whatever you're going through, or maybe a challenge you're facing, and then speak it out loud, declare it over yourself, your family, your work, whatever needs a boost.
Like a spiritual jumpstart to the day. Putting on armor against negativity before you even get out of bed.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
It's about being proactive, shaping your mindset, instead of letting circumstances dictate your mood.
Okay, so let's say I'm struggling with self-doubt. Is there a verse you'd recommend for that?
Definitely. How about Philippians 4:13?
Yeah.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's a powerful reminder that you have strength, that you're capable, and that you're not alone in your struggles.
Yeah, it's like an antidote to those negative thoughts that
Yeah.
tell you you're not good enough or strong enough.
Exactly. And another great one for self-doubt is 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
It's like a reminder that fear and doubt, they don't come from God. They're not part of our true nature.
Exactly. And by speaking those truths out loud, we can start to break down those negative thought patterns and replace them with faith and confidence.
So it's not just about reciting the words, it's about letting those words really sink in.
Yes. And the amazing thing is, the more you practice this, the more those positive words become a natural part of your vocabulary. You start speaking life into existence, both for yourself and the people around you.
It's like rewiring your brain for positivity. And we can use affirmations that aren't directly from the Bible too, right? As long as they align with those same principles.
Absolutely. It's about tapping into truth, whatever resonates with you. So things like, I am strong, I am capable, I am worthy of love. Those are all powerful statements that can help you overcome negative self-talk.
So we have to be mindful of the words we use internally, just as much as the words we say out loud.
Exactly. If you're always criticizing yourself and doubting yourself, that's a form of self-condemnation. But by using positive affirmations, you can break free from that and declare freedom and abundance over your life.
It's like choosing to bless yourself instead of curse yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
That internal shift, it can have a ripple effect on your whole life, your relationships, your work, your well-being.
Okay, I'm convinced. But how do we make this a part of everyday life? It's easy to get excited about a new idea and then let it slip away.
I hear you. It's about making it a habit, not just a one-time thing. So here are a few tips. First, create a list of affirmations that really resonate with you. Write them down, put them on sticky notes, maybe create a reminder on your phone. Just keep them visible and accessible throughout the day.
Like little reminders to speak life into yourself whenever you need a boost.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to get creative. Write your affirmations in calligraphy. Make artwork with them. Even sing them if that's your thing. Find a way to engage with them that feels good to you.
So it's not about following a strict formula. It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
I've also heard it's important to say affirmations in the present tense, like they're already true.
That's a great point. It's about aligning your words with the reality you want to create. So instead of saying, I want to be confident, you say, I am confident.
It's like you're stepping into that reality, not just wishing for it.
Yes. And remember, it's not about pretending your challenges don't exist. It's about speaking the truth you want to manifest, even if you don't see it fully in your life yet.
Like planting seeds of positivity with your words, and then trusting that they'll grow over time.
Beautiful analogy. And it's important to remember, this isn't about wishful thinking or trying to control the universe. It's about aligning your words with your actions and your faith.
So it's not enough to just say the words, you have to actually believe them and act on them too.
Right. It's about creating a connection between your thoughts, your words, and your actions. That's when real change happens.
So it's a holistic approach to personal growth.
Exactly. And it's a journey, not a destination. It's about consistently choosing to use your words for good, to speak life into yourself and others, and to create a more positive and fulfilling reality.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's like recognizing the incredible power we have to shape our world one word at a time. But we've been talking about things on an individual level. I'm curious about how this idea of the power of words plays out on a larger scale, like in society as a whole.
That's a great question. It takes us to another layer of this whole conversation, the impact of language on our collective reality.
Yeah, because it's not just about how we talk to ourselves or our close friends. Our words are part of a much bigger conversation, right?
Absolutely. Think about political speeches, social media, the news. Those are all platforms where words are used to shape public opinion, to influence how people behave,
Yeah.
and to create stories that can have a huge impact on society.
And we've seen how words can be used to divide people, to spread hate and misinformation.
It's true. And it shows us how important it is to be discerning, to think critically, and to use language ethically, not just as individuals, but as a society.
It's like we all have a responsibility to be mindful of the words we take in, to check our sources, and to be careful about how we engage in conversations online.
Yes, discernment and critical thinking are so important these days.
Mm.
We can't just believe everything we read or hear. We have to question things, verify information, and hold ourselves and others accountable for what we share.
And remember that our words have consequences. What we say online can affect people we've never even met.
It's a humbling thought, and it highlights the need for empathy and compassion online. Even though we're communicating through screens, there are real people with feelings on the other side of those messages.
It's easy to forget that when you're in the middle of an online debate or scrolling through anonymous comments.
It is, but remembering that human connection can help us choose our words more thoughtfully and engage in a more respectful way.
And it's not just about what we say to each other directly, but also the things we post and share online. Are we adding to the negativity or are we creating something positive?
It's a challenge, for sure. It's easy to get caught up in the need to be right or to get the last word.
It is it.
But we can always choose to step back and ask ourselves, is this helpful? Is this kind? Is this making the world a better place?
Those are great questions to ask before we post anything online. It reminds me of what we were talking about earlier, the idea of speaking life into existence. Maybe that's not just about personal affirmations, but also about the kind of energy we're putting out into the world.
I love that connection. What if we saw our interactions online as opportunities to bless people instead of cursing them, to build others up instead of tearing them down?
That's a huge shift in thinking, but I think it's something we really need. Because right now it feels like there's so much negativity and judgment online.
It can be discouraging, but remember, we each have the power to choose a different path, to be a force for good, to spread kindness, to promote understanding, and to use our words to heal instead of harm.
It's a choice we make every single day, with every word we speak, every comment we post, everything we share, and all those choices together. They have the power to shape the world we live in.
It's a powerful thought, and it reminds us that even when things feel chaotic and divided, we still have the power to make a difference.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I'm seeing the world in a new light.
It's been great exploring these ideas with you, and I hope everyone listening is feeling inspired to use their words in a positive way, to speak life into themselves and into the world.
Me too. And we've only just scratched the surface of this topic. There's so much more to explore. So for everyone listening, we'll be diving even deeper into the impact of words on society. In the final part of this deep dive. All right, so we've talked about how words can shape our own personal reality through blessings, curses, and condemnation. And we touched on how this power of words, it plays out on a much bigger scale too, like affecting society as a whole. But I
Right.
want to really dive deeper into that, especially now. It just seems like words are everywhere with technology and social media amplifying everything.
It's true. It's like we're living in this giant echo chamber
Yeah.
where words can just take off and spread like wildfire, shaping people's perceptions all over the world.
It really feels like that. Like the volume's been turned up on everything, the good and the bad. It's so hard to know what's true anymore. What's helpful, what's harmful.
It definitely has two sides to it. On the one hand, technology gives us access to so much information,
Hmm.
and we can connect with people all over the planet.
Yeah.
But it's also created this space where negativity spreads so easily, misinformation, polarization.
It's like we've all got these megaphones now, and yeah, we can use them to spread good messages and connect with people who think like us. But they can also be used to spread bad stuff really fast.
And it's not just about what individuals are saying. Think about the power that institutions have. Media outlets, political figures, they can really shape the narrative with their words. They reach millions, billions of people.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like one tweet from a world leader can cause so much chaos, outrage, fear, even violence. It's kind of scary to think about how much weight their words have.
It really emphasizes how important it is for leaders to be ethical and for the media to be responsible. Because when people in power use their words carelessly or to manipulate others, the consequences can be huge.
It's like we all have this shared responsibility now to be careful about the words we listen to, the sources we trust, and how we talk to each other online.
You're right. Being discerning and thinking critically is more important than ever. We can't just blindly believe everything we see. We have to question things, check the facts, and hold each other accountable for the information we share.
And remember that everything we say has a ripple effect. What we put online can affect people we don't even know in ways we might not realize.
That's true. It makes you think. It really highlights how important empathy and compassion are online. Because even though we're communicating through screens, there are real people on the other side of those messages, with feelings and their own experiences.
It's easy to forget that sometimes when you're in the middle of a heated argument online.
It is. But remembering that human connection can help us be more mindful of what we say.
And it's not just about what we say directly to each other, but also the content we create and share.
Exactly. Are we contributing to a positive online space, or are we adding to the noise and negativity?
That's a good question. It's definitely a challenge, though. It's easy to get swept up in wanting to be right.
I know what you mean. But we can always take a step back and ask ourselves some questions. Is what I'm saying
Yeah.
helpful? Is it kind? Is it contributing to the world I want to see?
Yeah, those are really good questions to ask ourselves. It makes me think about what we were talking about before, speaking life into existence. Maybe that's not just about personal affirmations, but also about the kind of energy we're putting out there.
I like that. What if we approached our time online as a chance to bless people instead of curse them, to build each other up instead of tearing each other down?
That's a whole different way of thinking about it. But honestly, I think it's what we need. Because right now, it feels like the online world is so full of negativity.
It can be tough to see past that. But remember, we each have a choice. We can choose to be a force for good, to spread kindness, to promote understanding, to use our words to heal rather than harm.
It's a choice we make every day, with everything we say and do online. And all those little choices add up. They shape the world we live in.
Yeah, it's a powerful thing. And it reminds us that even when things feel chaotic, we still have the power to make a difference.
This has been such an amazing conversation. It's really changed how I think about words.
It's been great talking about this with you.
So to wrap things up, let's leave our listeners with this. Your words have power. Choose them wisely. And remember, even in a world that feels divided, your voice matters. Use it to make a difference. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep those words flowing in a positive direction.